Morning everybody, we're off to Sedges today, round 3 of the Topkit League. We're in Group B, so this is the final round to see who sort of goes through to the final bank holiday Monday in August. It's my favourite league, to be honest, and I always say sort of this should be interesting, this, that and the others. I've noticed throughout my videos, but today will be interesting. Probably not in a fantastic way, if I'm honest, because they've had some oxygen issues down there. It Sedges on Tile Lake, and I felt absolutely devastated when I heard for Jamie and Denise, who I know work so hard. It must be so difficult for sort of fishery owners. My own reaction originally was, as I say, I was devastated because I love that lake and I love the fishing, the whole fishery really, and especially that league, the Topkit League, as any of you know, sort of watching my videos. I'm so enthusiastic for that sort of fishing that I just love it. And then I sort of realised, you know, what am I doing? You know, feeling devastated for myself when, of course, it's Jamie's and Denise's living. You know, so must be awful for them. I'm quite sure they're going to bounce back because they're fantastic people, and they're not the sort of people who've owned a fishery and sat back on their laurels, if you know what I mean. I'm sure we've all known them, people who sort of dig holes in the ground, put fish in them and just take the money, and they're certainly not that. So I'm sure they will bounce back and they'll get more fish in there and that. But the initial, at the moment, of course, you have to let everything settle down, so I have absolutely no idea how this is going to fish. So when I say it's going to be interesting, it really will be. You know, I don't think we're going to be looking at many bites. It could be a bit of a lottery, and so we're just going to have to see. But we'll get on down there, we'll have a breakfast, we'll still support them, of course, same as everybody is. We've got such good people around here, anglers and everything. Everybody sort of got together, supported them and that. So we'll get on down there and see them, have a nice breakfast, and fingers crossed that we're on a few. Cheers. Okay, so as you've seen, we fed a little bit of meat, fished over that just to see if there was a carp in the vicinity straight away. There wasn't. So now we've gone on a little blob of ground bait with a single maggot just trying to catch a fish. We need a fish to make sure we get in the final. And we've got one on. Lovely. So that's pressure off, isn't it? Last thing you want to do is blank, because if you blank, although there's 20 people in the match, you come last, you get 20 points. But unfortunately, if you blank, you get 30 points. If you don't turn up to one of the matches, it's 30 points. So you could technically push yourself out the final with that. But we've had two good results in the previous rounds. Not brilliant. I think we've had a fourth and a fifth, which isn't fantastic for us in this league, if I'm honest. But it's been quite challenging this year. Um, and as we mentioned earlier, what has happened down there is only Tile Lake has been affected, by the way, but they've had a massive oxygen crash and they've lost a lot of fish. An absolute crying shame because Jamie and Denise work so hard down here, incredibly hard. I really feel for them, but so does everybody else. We've got such good anglers in the local area. Everybody's still supporting, and I still think it's relevant. If it's lower weights, it's still a competition and it's still relevant, isn't it? So we've done all right on our little silver rig there. We've got ourselves off the mark. We did this for about 45, 50 minutes after initially looking for that carp. We didn't get a carp for the first, I'd say, 90 minutes of the match we're in. And then we flicked out our long rig, the one we flick out past as long as you're allowed, the 3 meters. And you can see how long that line is to the float on that rig. And we flicked that out past our meat and it buried straight away. And I had a 4 pound carp. And then it's happened the second time. So I turned the camera back on. I actually had the camera off for an hour because there was nothing to really film, to be honest. Um, so we're into our second one. And you can see that long line, like I said, down to the float. And with the whole rig being the same length as the 3 meters were allowed, as you probably know in the past, we'll probably stand up to try and land this fish. That way we can still keep more elastic out than we can from the sitting position, which puts less stress on the hook hold, the rig in general, and everything else. Although the water is quite low. I notice I got about 4 foot in front of me. Normally here in this area, I'd expect 5 foot. You can see on the island out there, can't you? You can see the mud mark where the water's down. We've had some warm weather, haven't we? Incredibly hot. Still well supported though. We've still got a 420 on the match. No surprise at all. Every peg in. I do think though certain pegs will dominate now. I mean, pegs, the two best corners here are 21 and 40. Now, normally there was the stocking in here was so good. I always felt the better angler, regardless of where he was, could muster up a weight and sort of frame, and challenge those pegs depending who was in them. But now I think where the stocking is so much lower, those better pegs could end up sort of shining through really. No, and that's no offence to the people in them, mind, because you still got to catch those fish. You know, you've got to be capable of catching them. And we're taking our time, as you can see. I mean, these fish are going to be at a premium today. And he's a reasonable stamp, isn't he? I don't think he's a double, but he's high single figures, and he's 8, 9 pound, isn't he? They're such lovely fish down here at Sedges. I'll hold a nice one up one day, and you can see it, and the rudders on them, the tails, absolutely huge.
Fantastic fish. Really strange, as I was saying, like no sign of carp in the peg whatsoever. Then we flick the rig past the feed, down that shelf, and bang, within 30 seconds of it settling, it's gone. I've had one £4. I thought it was a one off, but then I hooked this second one, next put in, within the same sort of time frame, 30 seconds. So I turned the camera on for yourselves, and lovely. That's pressure off because although as soon as we caught a fish, it's pressure off really, but it's nice to get a couple of carp and a few silvers, isn't it? That's a 4B18 rube on that rig because I really want a bit of weight to it so I can swing it out. I mean, it's flat today, but the wind could get up later. And as you know, with sedges, you've probably seen in the past, it can get quite breezy, and when it does, it tows. So you want something with a bit of weight because you're fishing out past your po tip as well. So after catching those two, I'm thinking there might be one settled over the meat where we've actually been, putting cupping a little bit in, throwing in an odd little bit. I haven't been putting in much bait, because I just don't know on the stocking and such. But it really is a feel your way into it job. So we're just dropping over that, see if there is any there. You can see our two number 8 back shot just touching the water, and we got one. So one had sneaked in over the feed, haven't they? They sneaked up that shelf. And this should be a lot easier and a lot smoother to land on the sort of conventional rig, as I said, sort of 4 foot deep, a shorter line to the float and that. Feels another reasonable fish. Why? Nothing for 90 minutes and 3 carp within 15 minutes. So 2 minutes after we hook that last carp, we get another chance, just like that. Weird, isn't it? Been 2 hours of like the carp have been completely vacant, then all of a sudden they rock up again, just like that. And we still have 2 hours of the match left yet, which is brilliant. Oh, that's a beautiful looking fish. That's one of those sort of half common, half ghosties, like really orangey, gorgeous looking fish. Oh, it's a cracking fish. Can't beat a good looking carp. Don't tell the missus though. Oh, lovely.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching that video. That video is actually, I've just finished, literally just finished editing that, and I wanted to pop on and say apologies, ran out of battery power, so no catch shots, no weighing in. But what I wanted to talk about is, well, let's finish on the match first. We had 5 carp, as you've seen. We lost one, didn't we? It didn't cost us massively, but we lost one. We had 5 carp, £2.12 of silvers, which incidentally won the silvers on the day. So we picked up some good money for that actually. And the 5 carp in our silvers I think went £42. I think that left us sort of 7th or 8th in the match. It's probably the worst I've ever done in the Topkit League. The last 2 hours I couldn't draw any carp into the peg at all, which just seems strange really. Obviously the oxygen level crash they had, they've lost a considerable amount of fish sadly, and that's affected the fishing. But it's made me think now with the final coming, and we qualified by the way, we only needed 1 fish to qualify, as I think I mentioned that in the video. But so the differential now between this, sort of catching those silvers being this and not those skimmers like that, and then the carp like this, I'm not going to be able to fish the sort of same kit like we used to, fishing small meat, that sort of 016 hook length, catch those nice skimmers, you know, take your time and get those big carp out. And that would sort of put us in good stead to be able to double bubble or pick up in either the silver pool or the carp pool, and that's not going to be the case now, so it has to be a sort of choice made. So what I want to say to all you wonderful people who've supported me in my videos, and thank you so much for that. It's been the comments and everything have been fantastic, and I really appreciate it. So I wanted you guys to sort of participate really. So what I'll say is, if I'm not on pegs 21, 22, 39 and 40, which are probably the boss carp pegs and give me a good chance of framing. I don't think from anywhere else on the lake I can be sure of framing with carp, which I would normally just go ahead and do. So I'm going to let you lovely people choose what I fish for. So just drop a comment below, say silvers if you want me to fish for the silvers, apologies, silvers if you want me to fish for the silvers, or carp if you want me to fish for the carp. We'll total it up, and we'll go with what you guys think, with what the majority says, and I'll see you in the final.